What's up, everybody? Welcome to Not Your Grandfather's Vlog, episode number 29. My name's Josh Cannon, and I used to do stand-up comedy. It's true. Back when I was younger, I used comedy as a way to get people to like me. I felt the more I could make someone laugh, that automatically meant the more they just liked me as a person. I was always the class clown in all my classes and all that. Meanwhile, I was also listening to stand-up comedians like David Cross, Patton Oswalt, Todd Barry, and, of course, Jerry Seinfeld. I think most kids growing up in the 90s, Jerry Seinfeld was probably your first exposure to a stand-up comedian on a broad scale. So I always had this nagging desire to do stand-up comedy, but I really didn't know how to get into it. Until I was 22 and I got a DUI. I had a lot of spare time on my hands, so this local guy named Jake Head, who now is grinding out on the comedy circuit in New York City, I'll add his Twitter and all that shit. You can follow him. He's a really funny guy. He actually would organize these comedy workshops, and he actually did a lot for the Jacksonville comedy scene at the time. And so I went to one of these said comedy workshops, but I didn't know that at the end of the workshop they'd make you do 5 minutes, which I did with what little material I had. I went up there and I did 5 minutes of comedy. And all that started from seeing a local show. I went to this local show. It was behind this clothing store called Underbelly, and it was like the old Prohibition days where they had a bar secretly in the back of some clothing store or something. That's exactly how this was. It was pretty cool, actually. But anyway, I would watch the local comics on stage, and I'm like, these guys really aren't that funny. Like, shit, I can do this. And one guy just, like, straight up ripped off a Chris Rock joke, like, verbatim. So I was like, alright, if the rules of comedy are being played this fast and loose, then I'm gonna throw my fucking hat in the ring. So that's what I did. So, back to the comedy workshop. These are my first 5 minutes of comedy ever in front of people. Enjoy.
Man, people with gauges just ooze coolness. And pus, but mainly coolness. These are some shorter ones that may not be as funny. You ever notice that the cement or the shake machine at McDonald's is always broke? Like anytime you go get a milkshake? Like how intricate is the milkshake technology that they just can't keep it going at a constant basis? It's not like a atom splitter or something where certain conditions the room has to be 88 degrees, and I just think they're like accidentally putting cement mix in it all the time, and it's I don't know. Anyway, that's my time. Thank you.
Woo! Well, that was fucking awkward as hell. Man, I was nervous. Oh, a joke about the McDonald's shake machine while I was breaking down. I was onto something, you could tell. So that place was called 5 Points Coffee and Spice. I did a lot of stand-up there. I really cut my teeth at that place. And I started doing stand-up all across the town, Jacksonville, my town that I live in. And I do, I would do comedy anywhere, anywhere and everywhere, and I started becoming friends with the other comics in the scene here in Jacksonville, and we had a pretty damn good scene, I will say. I even went out of town sometimes and did comedy. This next clip is from one of those out-of-town excursions where some of my jokes, well, all of my jokes really, weren't landing so well. Take a look.
So I made an observation the other day, it's a lot less sad seeing a homeless person if he's in like really good shape. I was at work and this homeless guy came. He was a black guy, and he had like this button-down shirt, but like the buttons weren't fastened, so you could like see his glistening abs. And he was wearing like these like shit-stained pajamas, and I was like, damn, this guy looks pretty good. I mean, he made homelessness look good, people. He made homelessness his bitch. He took a proactive step to not always having access to a shower. And then I started looking at him. He had that whole like shaved head thing. And I started putting two together. I was like, oh my god, this guy is Seal. This is recording artist Seal. This is awesome. I gotta get this guy's autograph. I don't know. I mean, Seal hasn't put out anything in a while. It's a tough economy. Anything can happen. And so when he signed my piece of paper, Admiral Sugarpunk, King of the Lizard People, I was like, yeah, probably just another crazy homeless guy. Whatever, I gotta hedge your bets, people, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that was lovely going down those painful memories. So anyway, after about a year of doing stand-up, maybe a year and a half, I got to this kind of point in my head to where I was being known as that guy, you know, all your friends start to get to know you as like you're the funny guy, or you're the clown of the group, and you know, writing jokes are not easy, you know. It's one thing to come up with a premise, but to really add all the nuance to make a joke funny, because I mean, it really comes down to like adding words, subtracting words, changing words around. All that can make or break a joke. Not to mention your timing, the way you deliver the joke. All of it's built in. And I just got sick of performing a joke for a crowd and it going over so well, and I have them eating out of the palm of my hand. And the next night, I do that same exact joke for a different crowd. Soul-killing silence. I mean, I guess some people have the self-esteem for that shit, but I didn't. It started getting old after a while, because I'm like, why did this joke work in this one room and not this other room? And I know the reason why. It's a rhetorical question. Another thing that I started thinking about was, because I was starting to, you know, get paid gigs here and there, and it looked like you know, it looked like something that I could pursue that would eventually become possibly successful. And I thought to myself, Josh, you have two choices. You can either do music or you can do comedy, but you can't do both, because one is going to suffer if you pursue the other full time. And at the end of the day, I just didn't want to be looked upon as a clown. I wanted to be looked upon as the music guy, the guy in the band, the creative artsy motherfucker. You know, that was who I wanted to be known as. And I just knew that I couldn't honestly do both comedy and music full time. So I chose music, and as you see from all the there's no platinum albums on my wall. Yeah, so maybe the music hasn't worked out either. So what? What's your point? But then I figured out like a beautiful thing when I started this YouTube channel. Like, I don't have to be on stage delivering jokes to be doing comedy. I can be a writer. I can be an actor. I can perform comedy in other ways. There's other ways for me to parlay my comedy skill besides just being on stage with a microphone delivering jokes to assholes and drunks. And sometimes cool people, but usually assholes and drunks. So, anyway, without further ado, here's some clips from me 5 years ago, trying to make people laugh desperately, and feeling and looking really awkward doing so.
My friend recently hooked up with a girl who was half Native American, and he was explaining to me, he's like, dude, it was so exotic. And I said, no, dude, it was so indigenous. Give it a second. Give it a second.
That's good.
The other ones, no, not so much. That one was funny. The other ones, man. That one, yes. Damn. Setting the bar here towards the end. That's good. That's good. My friend that I know, she's a girl, and she recently had her first baby, and she's never really been the same since then. She's talking about her boyfriend all the time. She cries every time the phone rings. She's throwing things at people. She's kind of lost a little bit. Now, this happens a lot with women sometimes when they give birth. Like, they kind of lose it a little bit. My question is, like, when did, like, giving birth turn into, like, Vietnam? Like, just, like, the flashbacks, and, like, they're just like, oh, it was crazy. There was blood everywhere, and people were screaming, and I almost died. I mean, I'm not saying that, like, I want to, like, push out a 10-pound sack of flesh either. I mean, I've been really constipated before. Let's be real here. And, I mean, if the pain's anything like that, then I'm good. You know, after that constipation, I was never really the same either. Just food for thought for you guys. But I work at CVS Pharmacy, though. That's my real job. I mean, I guess this could be a real job, technically. I work at CVS, though, and working at a pharmacy teaches you a lot about, like, old people in pharmacies. Like, pharmacies are like the mall to old people, I think. Like, they spend a lot of time there. They're just kind of loitering. They never really buy anything. They're, like, bothering to help. Just having a damned old time sucking down their black licorice and whorehound candy. And I'd say the biggest thing, though, about working there is taught me a lot about old people and technology. Like, I'd say besides the future, technology is the second scariest thing to old people. Because I work in the photo lab there and I help them print out their pictures on the little kiosk and it's all touchscreen. So anytime there's a problem, their only solution is like, if I touch it harder, it'll work better. And I'm sitting here trying to explain to the guy how to work and he's glaring at me like I'm the Vietnam soldier that got away in the war. He's like hating me from my knowledge. It's weird though because like my dad's getting older though, and it's so weird when your parents go from like kind of those young kids who raised you to like legitimate old people who have old people problems. Like, my dad likes music, but my dad also stopped taking in new information in about his mid-30s. So anything he tells you has like a 20-year buffer of inaccuracy. Like, he'll be like, yeah, Elton John, man. He was the epitome of all that was male back in the day. Like, everyone loved him. Definitely wasn't gay. And if Pat Benatar hadn't given him syphilis, who knows what he'd be doing nowadays if he had survived. And I'm like, Dad, that is not true. It'd take 2 seconds to look that up to see that that's obviously false, but he's very afraid of the internet, though. Like, he was helping me change oil on my truck the other day, and he's like, son, I don't know what you're going to do when I die, because you don't know how to do any of this to your own vehicle. And I was like, Dad, have you heard of YouTube and Google? Like, I can go on YouTube right now and find a video of somebody changing the oil on the exact same make and model of my car. I can find a video of somebody changing the oil on my car. Just out in my front yard, some guy. That video has 14,000 plays, people. It's out there.
So I think we take this whole celebrity sex symbol thing too far, people. Like, how long is Mick Jagger gonna keep getting a pass as being sexy? Like, Maroon 5 has that song, he's got the moves like Jagger, he's got the moves like Jagger. The song's about Mick Jagger's on-stage sex antics. You know why Mick Jagger moves like that? Because he's got rheumatoid arthritis. As well he should. He's like 96 years old. If you get fucked by Mick Jagger nowadays, you're getting fucked by pure science. Because that is the only thing that's keeping that flaccid, sad excuse for a cock going. That medicated Viagra boner with some kind of, I'm sure, experimental youth cream made from poor people's bones. I don't know.
So I was on the way here today, and my GPS sent me through the ghetto. It always does this. Apparently, my GPS feels the need to send me on some white guilt field trip every time I go somewhere. It's like driving. I'm like, I did this to you. I'm sorry. I did this to you. So I'm driving through the ghetto, and like I'm looking around at the scenery, and it's like so stereotypically ghetto, like a broke down car with no tires and broken down buildings. And for like a second, I thought I'd like driven onto a set of like a Spike Lee movie. And I felt really bad about that. Like, not because I thought I was going to get hurt or anything, but because I'm white, like, I'd have to shut down the recreation center. Because if you're a white guy in a Spike Lee movie, that is the only role that you get. Just the uptight white guy in the suit who shuts down the dance hall because it's not up to code or some shit like that. So I read the Oprah magazine, people. I do. In the magazine, Oprah likes to have what she calls her aha moments. And an aha moment for Oprah is something like, she'll say, when I was in my limo and I saw the homeless man, I became more appreciative of the things that I own. And that's her aha moment. And you know, after reading that magazine, I was like, I had my own aha moment. I was like, oh, it makes so much sense now. The reason I'm not getting any pussy is because I'm reading the Oprah magazine. Yes. Oh, it makes so much sense. Instead of getting into sports and learning about cars, I'm talking about my feelings and taking bubble baths. Reading advice columns from Dr. Phil. That's not very manly. So it's 2012 now, people. This is it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. I'd love to start going back to church now. Yeah, REM fans over here? Jeez, that's random. I'd love to start going back to churches now that it's 2012, just to hear the over-exaggerated doomsday prophecies as told by a southern preacher, because it's always big numbers with these people. It's always millions upon millions of fireballs will rain down, thousands of demons are gonna scourge the earth, billions upon billions, trillions upon trillions. Why can't it ever just be like, there'll be a couple of fireballs that will rain down. The demons scouring the earth will be manageable, quite frankly. The damage done will be nominal, and with the right contractor, it will be able to be repaired shortly, so saith the Lord. That's what I want to hear, just more realism. I don't know. I went to one of those KFC Taco Bells the other day. Just their two restaurants combined in one, and You know, the restaurant is built on speed. Like, they're supposed to get in and out of there really quickly. And I was sitting in line for like 15 minutes, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I wasted my whole break waiting in line for this food, so I was like, I'm going to complain to the manager. So I was like, hey, you know, this is ridiculous. You know, I was waiting here for 15 minutes, and she's like, oh, sorry, it's a lunch rush. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this place, man. I'm going to take my business elsewhere. So I went to the next cash register, and I ordered some KFC. Half of that place just lost a lot of my business. 5-hour energy, you guys know about this stuff? For people who need 5 hours of constant energy. Now they have 6-hour energy. For those bastards who need 6 hours of constant energy. I saw on TV the other day, 7-hour energy. For those people who need 7 hours of constant energy. I think the people have spoken. Cocaine, let's legalize it. The ad campaign would be so simple to market at first. At first, that is. I can see ad campaign right now. It's like, wife and kids giving you trouble, had a hard day at work, just can't seem to get everything done in one day. Introducing new 72-hour energy. Just take the vial of cocaine, cut into 3 or 4 lines, depending on your energy needs, and for not 1, not 2, but for 3 solid days, you'll have constant energy. And you'll get sexy, too, because you won't have time to eat with all that energy, chasing the bugs from crawling under your skin. Watch as your wife leaves you because you've beat her. And now you have AIDS because you shared a needle, new 5-hour energy. So what's a new World War II movie this year? Does anybody know? Is there? Okay, so there is one. You know how I know there's one this year? Because there's a World War II movie every year. Do you think the Germans, after a while, are just like, okay, we get it, we fucked up, Jesus. You have to keep making a movie about it every year? Like, they've explored every angle of Nazi Germany possible. Like, what's the next World War II movie gonna be about? Adolf Hitler's irritable bowel syndrome? Coming this fall, Adolf Hitler loved the Krauts, the sauerkrauts. But unlike the Jews, the sauerkrauts burned up Addie's colon with a fury, only big enough for a Fuhrer. Coming this fall, the Fuhrer in the soiled lederhosen. All right, guys, that's my time. Thank you.
Well, that was really painful to watch. Yeah, this has probably been one of the hardest vlogs for me to make because I had to go through and watch all that footage, and that was not easy. Because I see how much I've changed since then, and I see how awkward 23-year-old Josh was. And, yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard to watch yourself doing stand-up, man. It's just a whole nother world. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I have so much entertaining content on here for you to watch. And enjoy the rest of your day or night.